When I first had the vision for this strawberry, now strawberry and blueberry garden, I wanted to put it hard up against the stump of this old frangipani that died, unfortunately, beautiful tree, because I wanted the kids to be able to climb up on the stump and pick the berries. Hence why we've taken the top tier off the box itself. So fast forward to today, many moons later, I'm going to use that top tier to make a different garden. I have to quickly note that I used the first of my random offcuts to make this floating herb garden around my elm tree, but I'm going to use the next one in the front garden here, and I'm going to plant my currant bushes in it that have grown really well from cuttings. I'll also probably put some of the strawberries that have started to take over in various places in here as well. I'm going to half bury the square so that it doesn't wreck my view too much and can add to the funness of this garden. I want to leave the majority of this half round bare for the likes of pumpkins, courgettes, cucumbers, those sorts of things that tend to throw themselves all over the show, but are only there for part of the year. So while we have a couple of larger trees, being the Tamarillo, pomegranate and a peach, as well as 3 grapevines in the back, and there's a lemon over there if it ever does anything, I still want the majority of this half round and its beautiful, glorious, full sunny spot to be available for those spreading vegetables when the time comes. So this will be a great place to put my currants, safe from the dogs, and still leave a majority of the garden free and open and easily accessible. So having moved it and stood back and moved it and stood back a number of times, I've decided to pull it forwards a little bit so that each corner is sort of in line with the trees that I've planted. Kind of, sort of. As I said, I'm going to partially bury it so it won't be so tall, because we do quite like watching the cats on their 𝔽𝕼𝕼𝕣𝕣𝕒𝕟 log that they're obsessed with. So I'm going to use my trusty sharpened shovel. I've mentioned this bad boy a few times actually. It was one that my husband saved from a skip bin on a construction site, and has sharpened up for me, and it has reconditioned the handle and things. So yeah, be careful before you just go throwing stuff away. Love it. I absolutely love it. I use it for everything. So I'm going to move the box, and I'm literally just going to stab and flick everything inwards, knowing that the soil level will not be to the top of the box, but that's fine by me. I'm going to have to lift a few of these plants, I think. Maybe relocate some so that the currants have, I guess, the run of the area, and of course, as I said, move those strawberries into the box so that they're not just doing whatever they want. Alright, let's do this. I have to stop and quickly say how impressed I am with this bergamot. It's a lemon bergamot, and it is just spreading like wildfire as a ground cover. So I think I'm going to cut it back. Look at these roots halfway up the bloody stems. It's all over the show. So I'm going to cut it right back to ground level and put it somewhere else. Excellent, we are getting somewhere. I have left that cute little thyme there to go up against the side of it to make it look like it was always there. Around about 20 minutes since I went and got the box from out the back, we are starting to look like a garden. Yay! To help fill in our garden, I'm going to use some of the many leaves that have fallen from this mighty pohudakawa. 2 problems fixed in one, no shortage of leaves, and it gives the little people something to do. Now just to turn the soil through a wee bit, filled in and stomped down. So far this project has taken a whopping 30 minutes, and that is including some worm finding time. So I'm rather pleased with that. Now to pop out the back and grab our currants. These currants are a little bit special because I've grown them from cuttings I got from my mum's house. So They are free. Woohoo! We love free things. They're one of my absolute favourite fresh things to eat. And hopefully they will fruit this coming season. And as you can see out through here, there is loads of new growth, and I've had 1, 2, 3 successfully live. So let's dig them out and see what's underneath. Great, so we have 3 exceptionally healthy root structures. All those fine little spiderweb-like roots are excellent. They're primarily how plants get their water. So that's wonderful. Loving that. Look at that. Woohoo! It's a little bit of damage just here. I couldn't get those 2. They were a bit too deep. And this one here. So usually, he's a bit smaller. Usually I would do my best to lift a plant out of the ground, retaining as much of its soil around it, so you're moving basically a big bowl of soil as opposed to an unrooted tree like this. But I couldn't do that, unfortunately, because of where I had placed them in here. That was a little bit difficult. I was going to split them into 3 anyway, because I don't want them growing hard up against each other like they were. And finally, I wanted to see what a year in the ground for a cutting looks like as roots, and I'm rather impressed. Vivacious little creatures, aren't they? So what I am going to do in order to keep them as happy as possible is take a whole lot of this dirt with me. They obviously liked growing in it, so and knowing that out the front we do have some organic matter via the leaves from the ℚ𝕦𝕣𝕣𝕒 tree, and that whole garden is primarily made of bark and compost, so it's pretty good stuff out there. But just to make sure that they're super happy, we'll bring a bunch of this with us too. Excellent. So after making it look nice and pretty, I've now gone and dug 3 decent sized holes. Always digging the hole larger than you need, obviously, although everything through here is pretty loose anyway because I've just created this garden. But regardless, we'll stick to what we know. I've also made a last minute decision to move this little jumping cranberry into the other corner. So we've got 3 currant bushes and a cranberry will go in the front there, and that's mainly to protect my poor cranberry that is constantly trodden on by children. So the joys of gardening against obstacles. Children and dogs mainly. Other people worry about bugs. Children and dogs. I always forget to show this part. Whenever I am planting something in a new spot, I always make a point of filling the hole up with water before I do so that their roots have loads to go straight to. And as we know, those little spiderwebby roots are going to want to be looking for some water, so let's make it nice and easy for them. As I mentioned earlier, I always try to move a plant as just one big chunk of soil. So that's what I've done there. I don't need to see his roots. He just needs a better life than he had down there. So he's going to go in this hole, which is probably a little bit too deep. I'll rectify that before I pop him in. Excellent. It looks wonderful. They look happy. And now just the strawberries to go in. How easy was that? Give it a bit of maybe a rake, tidy the whole thing up. Ta-da! So, what have we got? We've got a raised garden, which I can easily instruct my children to stay out of. It has got some companion planting going, which is great. And of course, this garden is also riddled with thyme and oregano, and I've got mint in a pot and things like that as well to help deter bugs that we don't want. Most importantly, I've got these poor currant cuttings finally in their forever home, and they look stoked. I love them for this spot because they won't get too big, which means they won't obscure my view. I do love to sit out here in the morning and have a coffee and admire the paddock across the road. And of course, it's given me a great barrier and boundary for when I plant things like pumpkins, again, you know, cucumbers, courgettes, all those things that spread like mad. So I'm really, really pleased with this afternoon's efforts, and I get to come out again in the morning and admire it when I'm having my coffee. So how good is that? I've also, of course, found homes for all of the plants that were in the middle there, and I have tidied up these steps a wee bit. The steps serve a purpose I will share with you quickly, and it is designed to have the children come and walk to their stump. So the stump eventually will become a part of the garden. I'm going to plant it, but what we do have along the edges here is a bit of couch. So every time the girls go up and down off this garden, they're moving the bark, which of course allows the couch to come through. If I can encourage them even just to use that first little step, then the couch will become less of a problem as the mulch settles back in. Rather pleased. Can't wait to see this start to really flourish, and I can't wait until my currant bushes are big enough to take cuttings from. I love strawberry plants. Obviously strawberries are absolutely fantastic, delicious, and taste like summer, and seem to fruit almost all year round, at least according to this guy. We'll just leave him hanging over there. But they make excellent companion plants. So if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know how I feel about companion planting. Definitely worth a Google. I often will search what are good companion plants for whatever I'm planting. But strawberries are wonderful because they've got these luscious big leaves. They help keep the soil nice and cool and moist in the hot sun, which is awesome where I live in Hawke's Bay. But also they help to nourish the soil. They bring about good bugs and all sorts of other things. And what I love about strawberries the most is that they spread excellently. So as you can see, I've pulled up this big one here, and he's got 3 along there that are just sort of, there we go, focus, thank you, just rooting now. This guy's got a bit more of a root structure, and off that same main plant he's got 2 more on another runner. So I'll be able to populate this side quite easily just with that one bush. And these plants along here also aren't even in the ground, they're just sitting on the top, but this guy here, who looks like not much, is the one that is going into the ground. So amazing, just absolutely amazing plants. Okay, I'll stop now. Thanks as always for watching. I hope that at the very least it was entertaining and hopefully maybe educational for some people. I know I had fun. And of course, please subscribe. Go check out our Facebook page, the Dig Deep Facebook page, for additional content. And please, as always, in the comments, if you have anything that you'd like me to be doing in my garden or that you want to learn more about, then tell me, and we'll see what we can come up with. I am always keen to try new things. Over and out.